What is good, y'all? Welcome back to Chris and Ref Productions. I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. So, it has been a minute since I have done a video talking about comic book movies. Recently, there's been a bunch of Marvel delays. DC, there's been some news, not as much as before, but there has been some good news this past week. So, the actors had been on strike for the last few months, and during that strike, they couldn't promote movies, they couldn't do any work, they couldn't, do any acting, voiceover work, any of that stuff. So since it officially ended earlier this week, the actors have started posting, the movies that they've been doing, the movies that have come out the last few months, but they couldn't even talk about them. So, and now they can finally get back to acting, they can get back to filming, and it's already been going on this week. The Penguin, the series, it already started filming again. They're going to go ahead and get back on Deadpool 3. And I wanted to give my thoughts on the slate for 2024 as well as the massive slate for 2025 for both Marvel and DC. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get into this. As you see next to me, it's a beautiful, beautiful looking dog. This is from Ryan Reynolds. He said, did Dogpool save the day? Not a chance in Gremlin hell. But she is currently causing the Disney's plushie merch department nightmares. Coming with the movie summer 2024, dog emoji, shit emoji, L, Deadpool, Dogpool. So it's official. Only one movie for the MCU is going to be coming out for 2024. I will get into those delays and my thoughts on them and how it's going to affect the MCU overall. But let's start off with just focusing on 2024. Deadpool 3, I am beyond excited. It had gone from May 2024, and then I believe it got delayed to what, July? And I may have been mistaken. I had thought it got delayed to December if I had read somewhere, like on a publishing link, Hollywood Reporter. Almost like I think I was wrong when I read that. But it's coming out July 2024, and it is the only MCU movie. I think that is a great thing, especially since the drop in quality for the MCU. They are pumping out too many projects, they're pumping out too many shows, too many movies. Obviously, it got bottlenecked because of the delays for the last few years for the obvious reason. But they can start pulling things back. The Marvels, which came out this weekend, yesterday, I think officially came out. It's not tracking well. It's tracking to be the lowest opening for any MCU movie. I haven't seen the Marvels, but I haven't heard wonderful things about it. I've read that people have enjoyed themselves, which is great. People go to the movies to enjoy themselves, but just the overwhelming reviews that I have seen, especially from YouTubers that I follow, like a Christian Harloff, like a Double Toasted, they just did not enjoy it at all. They said some good things, but they didn't like it, and it's not surprising because I enjoy the first Captain Marvel. The plot is pretty underwhelming and the ending is very lackluster, but I think the overall beginning, the first act, second act, I think is pretty decent. And I don't know. I just think right now the MCU is just not in a good place. I haven't finished Loki. I haven't been finishing a lot of MCU projects recently. I've watched them all. I have. Loki's the only one I haven't finished, and then the Marvels I haven't seen. So I'm not gonna pretend that like I haven't seen anything. I've been watching the MCU, but it's been very disappointing. So to hear that Deadpool 3 is the only one coming out next year, I absolutely love that. Like I said, I'm gonna get into more of the delays, but there's only three comic book movies coming out next year. Two Marvel, one MCU, which is Deadpool 3, Venom 3, which is a Sony movie, comes out in November, actually a few days before my birthday, so that's gonna be fun. And the only other comic book movie coming out next year is Joker 2 Folie à Folie à Deux. I gotta learn the title. So this is the only DC film coming out next year. We are getting Creature Commandos, which is a DCU animated show, but I'm only focusing primarily on the movies. And Joker 2, the sequel. Obviously, he's going to be starring Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. She is a wonderful actress, very talented. And you see it right there on set. She just looks like a badass Harley Quinn. Bradley Cooper, actually, a lot of people don't know this. He's actually the one of the producers for this film. Him and Todd Phillips have a great relationship starting back all the way in Hangover, probably before them, but I don't remember. I don't know. So yeah, this Joker movie, it's just gonna be extravagant. People have issues with it being a musical. I, for one, don't have an issue with that. I think it's a very unique take on a comic book movie, especially for a comic book movie that is hard R, rated R. The first Joker I saw in theaters, and it was just a breathtaking experience to see. Um, and it made over $1 billion, especially for the budget that it had. The budget was 65 million, maybe at 70, but it was at 65 million from the reports. And for it to make over $1 billion, I think that's just badass. Let's go ahead and the cast some images. I'll go ahead and show off this Lady Gaga image. And I am curious about like what's gonna do better in the box office. Is it gonna be Deadpool 3? Is it gonna be Joker? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they both make $1 billion. I think Deadpool 3 probably has a better chance because of all of the X-Men that are gonna be in it. Obviously, Hugh Jackman coming back. So I think Deadpool 3 has a easier path to getting to $1 billion. Comes out in the middle of the summer. Joker is going to be, I believe, October, November of next year. And I just want this year of 2024 to be a great year for those two films. It's going to be the first year with, oh, I don't know if Venom 3 is going to be rated R. Sony, make Venom 3 rated R, please. That would be so badass to have three rated R comic movies coming out in 1 year. And those are the only movies coming out in 1 year. Creature Commandos is going to be rated R. The Penguin series, which comes out next year, is going to be rated R. Like, come on. I think it's going to be rated R if I'm not mistaken. I mean, come on, like let's just do it. Let's just get some rated R shit out there. Especially for Joker and Deadpool 3, which obviously they are rated R already. And Joker 2, I think it's just gonna be a wonderful. Joaquin's movie, Napoleon, just came out, or it hasn't came out yet. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. But I'm just excited for 2024 for those two films. And now I want to get into the delays, especially for Marvel. But I also have a lot of stuff I want to talk about DC because the DCU is what I'm more excited about. But let's just go ahead and get into 2025's slate. This is from Discussing Film. This is the slate for every comic book movie releasing in 2025. First off is Captain America 4, which comes out in February 14th. It was originally supposed to come out in July 2024, but it got delayed. That's what, 9 months? A whole 9 months it got delayed. There's reasons behind that, which I will get into in a bit. Fantastic Four is supposed to be coming out May 2nd, 2025. That movie has been delayed numerous times. We haven't even had the announcement of the casting hasn't even been made. I do want to get into the casting and what it could be a little later. Superman Legacy confirmed July 11th, 2025. James Gunn, obviously my favorite writer and director, so he's gonna absolutely kill that. The Thunderbolts coming out July 25th. That was supposed to come out, I believe, in November 2024, but it got delayed a whole 8, 9 months as well. The Batman Part 2, October 3rd, 2025. I think that was the original release date. There has been no delays from my understanding. And lastly, but not least, it sucks what's been going on, but with Blade is coming out November 2025. I also have some stuff for that I want to get into. Blade, poor Mahershala Ali. Supposedly, he was ready to leave after the second or third script that had already been passed in front of him because they keep rewriting it because of how shitty the scripts have been. But we'll get more into that later. Let's get into DC first because if I'm being honest with you, if I'm looking at the slate, which movies do I want to see first? That's going to be Superman Legacy and the Batman Part 2. Let's go ahead and get into this. So this is a tweet from James Gunn today. Actually, I'm not following him. That's crazy. I don't follow anybody on Twitter. He said, thanks to the efforts of our talented crew who have never lost faith during the longest strikes in Hollywood history, and who never let their foot off of the pedal, continuing to barrel forward, creating the most amazing character and set designs I've seen in my entire career. That sounds amazing. Hashtag Superman Legacy will be making the originally planned release date of July 11th, 2025. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. The reason why I say that, the original planned filming dates were supposed to be starting up in January. So about, a little bit like 2 months from now, they were supposed to start filming for Superman. But after the strike ended the other day, it was announced that they're going to actually start filming in March of 2024. So it had me a little worried. I know that's just a few months after the original plan date, but even 2 months can just delay a movie because there's just so much that can go on. And it was just confirmed today that that's not happening. There is no delays. Superman Legacy is coming out July 11th, 2025. What more can I say? I've done so many videos on Superman Legacy. You can check them out on our channel if you'd like. My thoughts on the casting before the SAG strikes, my thoughts on just the DCU slate in general. But since the SAG strikes had ended and the actors are finally getting back to what they do, I hope that James Gunn soon starts announcing some casting news because that would be so amazing. We just need casting news. We need it now. We don't need anything. It's a one, obviously. Do I want to see those casting news? Of course, I want to see those casting news. I want to see who else is going to be in the film. I want to see who's going to play Jimmy Olsen. I want to see who's going to be playing Perry, who's playing Mama Kent, who's playing Papa Kent. I don't know. I heard Kurt Russell could probably play Papa Kid. When I saw that, I was like, you know what? That actually sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. But we shall see. Superman Legacy coming out officially July 11th, 2025. No delays. Get the delays out of here. Get them out of here. All right, next we're gonna go into the Penguin series. So this is actually from November 10th, which is yesterday. Actually, my birthday was yesterday. So they already got back into filming. The strikes ended earlier this week. They're wasting no time. They have Colin Farrell already in the Cobblepot makeup. He looks like a badass. He actually looks a little thinner than he did in the movie, like the prosthetics they have on him. But I think this picks up right after the Batman Part One or the Batman. Uh, this is going to be badass. Like I said, I'm going to be focusing more on the movies, but I don't want to talk about this because this is going to be a massive DC show for next year. This and Creature Commandos are going to be carrying DC on their back in terms of streaming, and you're going to have Joker killing it in the theaters. Um, the Penguin series, they've already been filming for a while. It obviously stopped because of the strikes, so they're ready. They're already back to it. Colin Farrell looks like he's ready. I really don't. I don't know what to expect from this show. I'm hoping. One of my favorite parts of the Batman movie is the Carmine Falcone, like that storyline. The underbelly of crime in Gotham City and who these characters are, what they do, and why do they do the things that they do. And I think the Penguin is just going to be a badass character to follow. He's a major sleazeball at the same time, so he's going to have some funny shit to say to people. But yeah, the Penguin series is just from that clip they released a few months back, more than a few months back, of them already filming season one. It just looks amazing. It looks badass. I don't know what more else to say, but let's go ahead and get into the Batman. So there is obviously no set images. They haven't even started filming yet. This comes out in 2025, like I mentioned earlier. There has been rumors of them casting a Harvey Dent, of them casting a Clayface. So Do I think Harvey Dent will be the main villain? I don't think so. I think they'll go for the angle of Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne slash Batman, because Harvey Dent doesn't know who Batman is, of him working with Batman, having a friendship with Bruce, and then eventually his um corruption eventually takes over him, and then he gets into the accident that burns half his face, and then he just ends up turning into a straight up criminal. So I wonder if that's the angle they're going to go. I think that would be a really interesting take, especially for live action, because the only real Two-Face we've ever gotten, obviously we got the Tommy Lee Jones in the 90s. That was more comic-y, that was more campy. But the one in The Dark Knight, obviously, he had a relationship with Bruce Wayne, and they did work together for a bit. But we didn't really, really expand on that in that film. And The Dark Knight, I think, is the greatest comic movie of all time. Side note. So I am curious to see what they're gonna do with Harvey Dent, and then Clayface. That is just a very badass character to have as what I'm assuming the main villain of the film. How do you portray Clayface in such a realistic tone, like the Matt Reeves Batman universe? So I am curious. But that is pretty much it for DC that I wanted to get into. Like I mentioned, once James Gunn starts announcing more casting news, I promise you, I will be on that right away. I cannot wait to hear more DC news. But as of right now, I wanted to just talk about what they have for 2024 and 2025. Let's go ahead and get into Marvel and the not so spectacular news. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Deadpool 3, Captain America 4, among Marvel's release date changes as the strike ends. So this was just a couple of days ago. Um, so Captain America: Brave New World. Actually, no. Let me pull this up first. Well, screw it. Let's just go through this real quick. It's just the slate that they announced. Honestly, I think it's pretty much stuff that I've already covered. Yeah, right here, the Captain America: New World Order, starring Anthony Mackie, is being moved. They're gonna do more reshoots. Deadpool 3 obviously starting back up, resume shooting in London in the next 2 weeks. Marvel and Disney paid to keep the sets intact while the crew is standing by. So of course, there's no reason to tear down those giant sets. If they're gonna just start back shooting up in a few months, or who knows how long the strike was gonna last. I got nervous for a second. I was like, how long could this thing last? Obviously, the Deadpool thing. So yeah, let's go. Let's just move on to this Brave New World thing. So this is from Discussing Film. It was brought to you by Jeff Snyder on the John Roca show. Him and John Roca, they have a show together. He's a scooper and he has a lot of great information. And this is what he had to say. It said Captain America: Brave New World is reportedly getting extensive reshoots after negative test scores. Three major sequences will be cut with reshoots apparently happening from January to May. Jeff Snyder also added, but it could possibly go into June. But right now, January to May, I guess, is what's being reported as well. So, what do I think of this? It is not good. First off, if you've seen my videos in the past few months regarding the MCU, I actually did a Brave New World video discussing the casting and everything, the cast. This was, in terms of the MCU, after Deadpool 3, obviously Deadpool 3 is my most anticipated MCU project for next year, and X-Men 97. But in terms of live action, Brave New World just had me on the edge of my seat. I just cannot wait to see this movie. Or I couldn't, I'm gonna change my verbiage there. And I just love the Captain America series, the Chris Evans series, and I love Sam Wilson as Captain America. I'm not the biggest fan of Captain America and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I think the script there overall, anything outside of uh, Sam Wilson and Isaiah Bradley, anything outside of that, I could care less about. Especially the Flag Smashers, they honestly were annoying, and not in a good way. They just were not. I just every time they're on screen, I rolled my eyes. I didn't stand those people, that group. They were just so annoying. Anyways, um This honestly bums me out. This bums me the hell out because they have to go into major reshoots, especially after negative test scores. Like, come on, guys. This is Captain America. This is Sam Wilson. You would think they'd have their shit together, but they don't. It's the MCU. They've been falling off, especially at post Endgame. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is up there in another level. That is top tier. That cannot be touched. Everything after that has its issues. It really does. Even stuff that I love. I mean, not necessarily. Like, I love Hawkeye. I love that series. I rewatched that show so many times. But majority of it, there's just so many problems. And this needs to be studied. I don't want to say this the indefinite downfall because they can always get back on track. They always can. There's a reason why Kevin Feige was on top of the comic book genre for over 10 years because he knew what he was doing. But post Endgame, what the hell is going on? It's been so frustrating watching these MCU projects. It's been so frustrating being an MCU fan. I've seen almost every MCU movie in theaters. I have a streak actually from 2014, from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, the first Guardians of the Galaxy, up until what's an MCU movie that came out? Oh yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. From that to that, I have never missed an MCU movie in theaters. Never. I've seen them all opening weekend and a lot of them multiple times. I haven't seen the Marvels in theaters. And after the negative scores, after what I've seen from people that I follow, and it's just not working for me. I had I'm not gonna talk about the post credit scene. I had seen the post credit scene. If you're watching this, you probably already seen the post credit scene. I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's a character that pops up. Obviously, it's an MCU post credit scene that's supposed to get me excited, but it just didn't. Ah, that's very frustrating. That's very frustrating, especially when it comes to Captain America. I believe in, obviously, I believe in Anthony Mackie. Harrison Ford obviously is a legend. Malcolm Spellman is the writer. I think he's directing it too. The writer and direct. No, he's not directing. He's the writer. He wrote Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I thought that script had its issues, especially with the villains. So I don't know what they're gonna do. They obviously they're gonna try to figure it out, especially after these negative test scores. But massive reshoots, cutting three major sequences, what could that be? Probably the ending was like a head scratcher. I don't know. There's no official details on what those scenes were that have got cut, and I don't think we'll ever know. Maybe in a few years, whenever you have a someone that worked on set or whoever starts leaking stuff, but this isn't looking good. Could they get me back into like excited? Of course they can get me back into being excited. Of course. I'm not gonna pretend like this is dead in the water for me. But right now it's just not looking good. Next, I wanted to get into actually Fantastic Four. So this is a little more lighthearted, because I was kind of frustrated right now. Matt Shackman, who is the director of the Fantastic Four MCU movie, this is what he had to say. He says, Matt Shackman says, "It's Always Sunny will influence the Fantastic Four." And I love that. If you know anything about me, I have seen all of Always Sunny multiple times. I love that show to the core. Matt Shackman, apparently he worked on Always Sunny, which I did not know. And he said that the cast is going to influence it. And people are like, "Oh, I don't want D Reynolds as Sue Storm. You're not getting D Reynolds as Sue Storm." That would be pretty funny, honestly. I think having them as a Fantastic Four, I would watch them because they're all great actors. They're all hilarious actors at the same time. But I think what he meant by this is that their banter towards each other is going to be similar to Always Sunny. Um, there has actually been casting rumors slash news by Jeff Snyder, which I did a video on a few months ago whenever it was announced that Joseph Quinn, who plays Eddie in Stranger Things season 4, is gonna end up being Johnny Storm, and Vanessa Kirby, she was in the newest Mission Impossible movie, that she's gonna be Sue Storm. Obviously, that has not been officially announced by the MCU by Marvel, but Jeff Snyder, he's very well connected, and he says if that's 95% sure those are the two for those two roles, then okay, that's fine. Um, but when are we gonna get the Fantastic Four news? Apparently, late next week we'll get some news. When we do, I'll start reporting on that. But the last thing I wanted to talk about, which honestly is the most disappointing of everything we've discussed today overall, and this is Blade. Marvel's Blade release date pushed back to fall 2025. Mahershala Ali, obviously a Oscar-winning actor, he is amazing, but this Blade project has not. So this comes from by Collider. Basically, what they're saying is, in the wake of the SAG strike ending, there has been changes. Blade, which was supposed to come out in February 2025, is now coming out in November 2025. They've gone through, I think, five different writers for the script. They've gone through so many changes. This is what I actually have read the other day. I don't have it pulled up, unfortunately. I'll just talk about it. So apparently, one of the scripts was that Blade was going to be the fourth or fifth lead in this movie, and that this movie was going to focus on random ass characters and how Blade is going to learn from them, and we're going to focus on those characters way more than we focus on Blade. What the? Excuse my language. What the fuck? Like, how you gonna have a Blade movie and have Blade be the fourth lead in your movie? Like, what kind of shit is that? Apparently, they scrapped that script. They're going on to a new one. This is why it keeps getting delayed. Mahershala Ali was actually reportedly ready to leave. He was ready to move on. Was, I believe, the fourth actor they approached for this, and he took the role. And if he wanted to leave, if it came out right now, if a tweet got released and it said, "Hey, Mahershala Ali, done as Blade," I wouldn't be upset, not because I don't want Mahershala. I love Mahershala Ali. I want him as Blade. But I wouldn't be upset because I would understand why Mahershala Ali would leave. I understand it. He's been through so much shit with this movie, and it sucks. It really does suck. I actually the other day rewatched Blade, the Wesley Snipes one. Blade is just a badass killer. He's a badass character. And Mahershala Ali 100% could portray that on screen. He was in Luke Cage. I forget what his character was, but he was a badass in that show. So why can't they get their shit together when it comes to Blade? I don't know. I really don't know. Um, I think, and this is actually going to be rated R. They announced it's going to be rated R. I wonder why they did that. First of all, Blade should be rated R off the bat because that's the type of character he is. But I think the original plan was to be PG-13. I vividly seeing Kevin Feige on the red carpet, and he was asked about rated R movies in Marvel, and he was very, very specific, saying that Deadpool 3 is going to be the only rated R project that they're going to do. That he has no plans for other rated R projects. What changed? You know what changed? These shitty scripts that they've been getting. And I think he made the call, like, you know what? Let's make Blade rated R. Blade was supposed to be PG-13, but let's make it rated R. Let's add an extra layer of excitement because that's what fans want. They want Blade to be rated R. And I hope Kevin Feige can figure it out over there. Obviously, as an MCU fan, I don't want the MCU to fucking fall flat on its face. I think at times it's what it needs because if they keep promoting, not promoting, if they keep pushing out these piss poor movies, these piss poor shows that have these lackluster storylines, not everything, of course. Like, there's things that I do love in the last few phases. This is what we're gonna keep getting. Just poor projects. I want Blade to succeed. I want Brave New World to succeed. I want the Thunderbolts to succeed. I didn't even talk about the Thunderbolts. Did I? I really didn't. Thunderbolts, there's not much there. There really isn't. It got delayed a bunch of months. I don't know. I have nothing else to say about that movie. Just please, MCU, figure it out. You already know. My boy James Gunn over there at DC got his shit together. So guys, that is pretty much it. Please like, share, and subscribe. We do appreciate the support that we have been receiving. What's your comment? What's your thoughts? Comment down below. What do you think? What are you more excited for? The question is, are you more excited for the DCU or the MCU? I, for one, am more excited for the DCU and just DC in general. But I want to hear your thoughts. So, like I mentioned, please like, share, and subscribe. As always, guys, I am Chris. I'll catch you next time. Peace.